Happy Sundays with Cinnamon.
Hello, everyone.
Boy, what a week it has been, and so many people around the world are praying for you and your families and Robin. It's just been, there's been an outpouring. I've gotten so many personal messages on Facebook and phone calls asking how she's doing and how are you doing right now?
I
How is she doing? How are you doing?
I am doing very well as I stay in the moment. She is in extraordinary pain. The procedures, surgical procedures, are just coming full blast. Like I believe she's had going on her sixth one, and she's a tiny little thing, and I wonder how her body can really hold up, and yet it is. And her her spiritual determination, her willingness to see this as her personal challenge, have given her the wherewithal, and I'm humbled by it. I am totally humbled by, because I am in constant pain, and the other night I was really hurting for certain, and I just multiplied it by 100 or 1,000, and I thought, that's my dear Robin, what she is in right now, and it made my pain, made it so much. I was dedicating it to Rob and her challenge of pain right now. It's very intense, and so yeah, I would say we're all doing well. And when I talk to her, I've talked to her one time because I don't want her using her energy on talking or any of that. And she in a very still, small voice, she said, "Mom, it's really bad, and I'm really good." And
Aw.
I know that's true. I know that's true. And I want everyone to know that you have to say yes to everything, what you call good, what you call bad, and then experience this human condition, this um, part of being human that is so amazing, the emotion of tenderness and sadness and compassion. And when I weep, the tears are so comforting to me because I'm weeping from compassion for other people's very extreme journeys, sometimes including Robin's. And I think of, just now I'm thinking of the man who sawed his own arm off in that cave. They did a movie about it, and just people who take on the most courageous, extraordinary contracts. I love being human, that part of being human that experiences the emotion of compassion and love and joy. And we talked, I believe it was last week, about how to be happy in spite of it all. Just keep remembering that happiness doesn't look like, oh, you just came from a party or you're just going to one. Happiness is about knowing your own innocence, knowing the power of claiming peace as your birthright. And it takes courage to be loving.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's easier to go with the masses.
Yeah.
Like there are people who are saying yeah to the fact that Christopher Chase, this man who shot Robin, is dead. They're saying, well, that's the way it ought to be, and that is sad to me that someone died. A mentally ill person died.
Which they said they didn't know if he was mentally ill, although you
You
know he
know,
was.
it
See, that's the
takes
thing.
mental illness to kill.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And he had cop killer written on his body.
Tell me about your dream that you
Oh,
had about him.
oh yeah. And I had a dream, about less than a week ago, and I woke up crying and speaking this little, it brought the little soul in the sun, the book. For any of you who haven't read Neil Donald Walsh's Little Soul in the Sun, it's a children's book. If you're looking for it, read it, and you'll understand that in my dream, it came to life for me, because in the dream I was asleep, and this little angel who had the face of my younger grandson Miller. Not my youngest, because my youngest is Bronson. Although he had Miller's little face, and he had a little white vestment on that said "cop killer" across it. And I was somewhat startled when he got close to me and I could read that. It said "cop killer." And although I just accepted that, and that's an enigma to me in the dream. I was watching myself accept that this little soul, this angel, came with that written across his chest. And so then he folded his hands and got really close to my face and said, "Thank you for remembering who I really am." And then at that
Wow.
moment, I woke and I was crying, and my mouth was saying "thank you." And I realized in my wakeful moment that I was thanking him for not killing Robin, that he had a contract with her that he would do considerable damage and he wouldn't kill her. He'd leave her here to do the work of being an example, a heroic, wonderful example
And she
of
has so
living
many
love.
people are speaking about how she is choosing love and just empowering so many people and helping
Embracing
other
the what
people.
is.
And
What
yes,
is that
not
she,
resisting,
yeah,
not resisting it,
yeah,
as we know, because what we resist, we persists.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And all her energy needs to go toward healing. And if she puts it toward hating, you don't hate and heal simultaneously. Doesn't work.
no way.
Hatred doesn't heal. Love heals. And so there's so much to be quietly, sweetly grateful for, and I am. I am. And I loved what you asked. You said last time that people will misunderstand your tears, that you're suffering, and thank God that I've had tremendous pain in this, and I refuse to suffer. It doesn't make spiritual sense. It doesn't make common sense that you would choose to suffer when the pain is this intense anyway.
And how is that going to help her?
Not
It's
at
not going to help
all.
anyone.
Not at all.
So, I want to speak about forgiveness in a way, and I know this is our third week, but it's one of those topics. It's difficult. We create difficulty forgiving a lot of acts, and um, this is the thing, folks. Is right now, if there is someone you are not forgiving, if they die right now, they're dead, they're gone right now. What are you going to create around that? Because I know for me, I have no doubt that I would create a lot of suffering if I,
In the form of guilt,
in the form of guilt,
regret.
shame, or regret, and that why didn't I just soften up on that person, or, and you
Well,
know,
what I like to tell people is you're going to be left with whatever you do or you don't do. So if you didn't hug them or love them or forgive them, you're left with that.
yes, like for instance, my dad had abandoned me a while ago, and I spoke about it here on Sundays with Cinnamon. But what I never spoke about was the fact that 6 months of not talking, I walked into his house, and I was at my most vulnerable moment because he could have said, "Get the heck out of here." I didn't know what he was going to do, but I had forgiven him for what I would like to say a despicable act. I mean, for abandoning your own child, I can't even imagine what he must be going through to do that. And to walk in and say, "I love you, Dad, and I know you love me," and to love me for him, if that makes sense. Because sometimes, we need to do it for people if they're unwilling. And he just melted in my arms. And since then, we're seeing each other periodically, and
Because who we really are, the spirit of who we are, is loving and forgiving. So that's why it makes sense to say, all right, if you won't forgive me, I'll do it in your name. Like I'm doing everything in
yes,
Robin's name. I walk to the sink, I wash a dish in her name. I do all the things that she's incapable right now of doing, and I dedicate it to her and the possibility of her doing these things on her own in a very powerful way in time. So it does make sense to forgive yourself for some in their name.
it does. And I
To
am just so
call it who
grateful
they really
because if
are.
he dies tomorrow, I know who I am in this.
And you will remember this.
I know that I've cleaned it all squeaky
Yeah, yeah,
clean. And I love my dad. I adore him. And at the same time, there are a lot of things that he does that doesn't meet my models, and I don't meet his models. And it's okay
yeah.
to honor our differences, just like honoring different paths to peace. This has been my path to peace. And, I went to church, I went to Al Anon, I did a lot of things that absolutely helped me, but nothing like Living Love has helped me in creating the peace that I've created with my life. Does that mean I'm right and everyone else is wrong? No. This was just my path, my way.
And
And
living love, I just want to reiterate, which I do often, is not a class or process or a
a
movement.
philosophy.
It is a lifestyle. It's called living love, not class and love. It's not a procedure and love. It's living love, and you don't receive the full benefit of what we're offering in the world by example unless you see it as a way of life. I want to live love.
And one of the biggest things about living love is honoring our differences.
Yeah.
Because really, we're not different. We're the same. So let's just honor the differences
In who we're being.
in who we're being, whether
The labels we
different
chose to
races,
take on,
whether
yeah.
it's sexuality, whether it's whatever, we're all
Color.
being exact. Yes, we're all different in that way. And the more I see everyone as simply as
Awakening
beings, I am good to go. And I am on the ground with them, whether they want to join me or not looking up at them or down on them, but eye to eye. And knowing that each one of you has a specific reason to be here. Choose love.
That's it.
That's it.
And regardless of the exterior differences, that's what we're all. That's the united front right there. Is that we're all awakening beings. I used to tease and say everybody's a living lover. They just don't know it. Because indeed everyone is an awakening being who is here to serve love or not. And the or not part is it's like the sun and the moon, to show that there are differences and that they're surmountable and necessary.
No, they're so necessary. I see
you
that
need
now.
The sun and the moon.
I mean, everything that's going together in my life right now. I mean, it's family members, it's friendships, it's so many things are coming together for me, and I see how it needed to be. It needed to all fall apart to come back together differently.
Exactly.
It needed to be. It needed to be a bomb.
Yeah.
Then a big bomb was thrown, and then it's okay. Now let's rebuild, because going along to get along and the way we used to do things,
it's patchwork.
it just wasn't working. It was putting the Band-Aid over one, scabby wound, and I'm just excited that I ripped that Band-Aid off and let myself, bleed away and go through it, and now my skin's all nice and clean, and I have just so much more to give. I love it. So thank you all.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for your prayers.
Oh my gosh,
Speaking
speaking of the two people here, we've got Sandy Hunstad And Este Horn.
Estee Horn, I just want to say that you have entrepreneurial instinct. You're, and by that I mean that you're one who can create something that you're not necessarily desirous of continuing to implement. That you're one who can motivate other people to start things and step back and watch them blossom in it rather than seeing it through yourself. And you're not feeding that part of yourself. There's a fear in you of failure that who am I to think blah blah blah, whatever you're telling yourself. Stop telling yourself
Yeah,
that.
get rid of that, Este.
Yeah. And
Sandy Henstead.
Sandy is, I hope you're watching this particular Sundays with Cinnamon, because you have over time bought the worldly view of what is politically correct, what is spiritually correct, what is familially correct, meaning family correctness, and it keeps you from being more of who you really are. You are so much different than the way you portray yourself, and I would love for you to explore what that means to you and just become more and more who you really are.
Wow, that's cool. All right, thanks, Cinnamon. Happy
Yeah.
Sundays with
Thank you
Cinnamon.
all again for your prayers. Keep praying.
Love ya. Bye.
Bye.